Hey guys, sometimes you might be sitting there thinking, like, what? Think about your future, right? Like, what do you imagine for it, right? I mean, do you want to buy a home? Maybe you want to buy a home with a big enough yard for your dog. Maybe you don't want any student loan debt, right? Maybe you're tired of that credit card debt, right? And you want to get rid of your credit card debt and maybe like put the brakes on your credit card spending habits and stuff like that, right? Well, I mean, it's the beginning of the new year, and you're telling yourself, "New year, new me. I'm gonna do everything right," and you're gonna set all these goals for yourself, right? Okay, well, how do you go about setting up your goals for your finances, right? I mean, it's one thing to say I'm gonna do them or anything like that. It's another thing to actually write them out, set them up, and follow through, right? That's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about the steps to setting your financial goals, right? Right? Transforming those dreams into reality is a completely different matter than just setting goals, right? So, we're going to go through a doable plan to help you achieve, right? Turning these goals and dreams into reality, right? So, the first thing that we want to talk about is giving your money a job, right? Something to do, right? Think about your days at work. You have things you got to accomplish, this week, this day, right? And things you hope you can, finish maybe next week, or things you got to get done this month or this quarter or whatever it's going to be, right? Now, the same thing is going to be true with your financial goals, right? What kind of life do you want now, in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, right down the road, right? That's the job of your money, right? The job of your money is to help you achieve whatever life it is that you want for yourself, right? So, one thing that you need to remember is that financial goals don't have to be set in stone, right? And often you want to revisit them, right? And revise them throughout your life. So, whatever you might have your goals as for this year or next year or within the next 5 years, in 2 to 3 years, your 5 year goals might change, right? So, every 6 months or a year, you can reevaluate where you're at and, go from there. So, the second thing we want to do is we want to categorize each financial goal, right? So there's three different categories, right? And we're going to use these three to complete, some of your financial goals, right? So the first one, short-term financial goals, right? Now, this is going to be 6 months to 5 years. And I know a lot of people are saying 5 years is short term. Yes, 5 years is short term. Midterm is going to be 5 years to 10 years, right? And then, of course, long term is going to be more than 10 years, right? And having goals for each category, I strongly recommend it, right? It'll make some things a lot easier to, be able to work towards, right? Because maybe some of the things in your short term financial goals helps you chip away at some of the things in your midterm that helps you chip away some at your long term, right? Excuse me. So, having all of them is really going to help out, right? The third thing that we want to talk about is setting a target date for each financial goal. Now, being specific helps. Even if you adjust the date over time, right? Like you might move it a little further down the road, right? Maybe, like let's say you have a toddler, right? Who's going to be heading to college in, let's say in 2040, right? You have a target date for your college savings goal, right? Maybe you want to take a trip across Europe for your 10th wedding anniversary. Well, you know what time frame you're working towards, right? So add target dates to your financial goals. You have until this day to achieve this, right? So either whether it's saving this much, investing this much, or, purchasing this amount of assets, whatever it's going to be, right? So the fourth thing is prioritize each financial goal, right? Right? Earlier we categorize them as short term, midterm, and long term. Now, within each one of those, you want to prioritize each of them, right? Critical, need, or want. So it helps to prioritize because if it comes down to it, right? If push comes to shove, you, you know what to fund first, right? You don't have to think about it, right? You've already thought about it. You've already written it down. You've already got it worked out, right? It's not that big of a deal. And then you want to label, each goal, right? This is critical, this is a need, or this is a want. So let's say you have a short-term goal to build up your emergency fund and you label it as critical. But another short term goal is to trade your car, which is running just fine. Now that's going to be a want. If funds become tight one month, you know where to put your money, right? You're not going to try to trade your car in and get a new car. You're going to put that money into your emergency fund because it's critical. It's more important. It's not a want, right? So prioritizing each one, right? So go into your short-term goals and label this is critical, this is a need, this is a want. The same thing for your midterm goals, critical, need, want, and then long-term goals, critical, need, and want, right? And then within each subset, you make sure to take care of your critical first, then your needs, and then if you have something left over, that's how you tackle your wants, right? Now, one of the last things I want to talk about is going to be know how much you have versus what you still need to save, right? Now, do you have money in a retirement account, right? Do you have money in a Roth IRA? Do you have money in a 401k or maybe a 403b or a regular IRA, right? If so, you should, write those numbers down, if you're keeping like a worksheet or anything, right? And put these, label them as retirement related goals, right? Now, keep in mind that some goals may not have current savings, right? And that's okay. But just remember, everyone has to start somewhere. So even if you're just now starting, like your savings, right, your emergency fund or your savings account or your retirement account, that's perfectly fine. That's not a big deal, right? You know, if you plan to buy a home in 2 years and you need 15,000 more for a down payment, divide that by 24 months, then to save $625 more per month towards that goal, right? So even if it comes down to big purchases, right, you're going to know, if you have a big purchase, what you're going to need to save towards that goal, right? Know how much you have versus how much you need to save for that goal, right? So I really hope you guys got some good information out of this, and you understand that there's a couple steps to setting up your financial goals, and then that will make it easier to tackle your financial goals, right? Because we want everyone to be able to achieve their financial goals, right? And make sure you're realistic with your goals, right? Don't say in 6 months I want to make $1 million, right? I really wish that for you. I hope that for you, but unless you're doing something extreme in order to achieve that, I don't want you to get your hopes up and then, ugh. So, if you like the video, I'd appreciate you liking the video. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Until I see you guys in the next video, y'all be safe.